I'm Terry Pricey from Millcraft Paper. I have with me my partner in crime, Robert Arts. We are on the national accounts team, and we are happy to be hosting today's Millcraft meetup. We are hosting Jim Moriarty. Sorry, let me say that again. Jim Moriarty with Optimum Card Solutions, and we're going to talk about the art and science of the paper gift card. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Jim, and we'll get started. One more thing, we will have time for questions, so feel free to put anything you want to ask in chat, and we'll pause from time to time and answer those questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry, and thank you, Rob. Appreciate the opportunity of hosting this event. We're excited to be a part of it, and hopefully today we'll bring a little more clarity to the subject of the paper gift card, and fold in some data and some fun facts, and give you a chance to ask some questions and provide some insight. So with that said, a little background about myself. I've been in the gift card industry for 16 years now. Coincides with the genesis of the paper gift card, which I was part of the development of the iTunes card for Apple that started 16 years ago. Prior to that, I've been in paper gift card or paper card industry for 13 years prior to that. My association with Optimum Card has actually been almost the entirety of that 16 years. Was both a supplier and a customer for Optimum Card, and I recently joined 3 years ago as their company president. So thanks to everyone for your time, and we'll get started. So what is driving the gift card's move to paper as the substrate of choice? So right now, it's not really one singular thing. It really is not one size fits all. It really appeals to the brand and the brand owners. We're seeing right now a move since COVID, a lower cost product than their traditional PVC card in the marketplace today. Also of appeal and of considerable value has always been the environmental play, which is the recyclable element to that. And most recently in 2022, was formally announced that, and we had third-party data backing this up, that the recyclability of the paper gift card is intact even with a mag stripe and foils. And there was a lot of misinformation about that for many years about that, and as an industry we finally have brought a lot of clarity to that, and as an industry we've been very vocal about getting that message out. Biodegradable, that's not really in terms of a paper product. You'll hear this information talked about a little bit later in the presentation, but paper by its very nature is easily biodegradable in landfills. Environmental friendly. Again, paper products. So much of our consumer packaging goods are made of paper, and that continues to be one of the most sought after product substrates for packaging and products in the U.S. economy today. Reduces their carbon footprint. Carbon footprint has been one of those topics that has really been more top of mind of recent. And the data shows, as you look out across the supply chain, that you can document, not anecdotally any longer, but with real information from the paper source to the forest, all the way through to the end product. And brands are really tying their messaging to reducing their carbon emissions, and they've set very varied goals, whether it be realistic or long-term goals. They've set those goals out there for the brand to achieve. So you're seeing that's another way for these brands to show and make improvements on their carbon footprint. More creative options. That would be be able to build on those creative ideas that your marketing and your creative teams have, and paper lends itself to that by its very nature. And then the other thing that's really come of come of interest over the last 2 years has been legislation that's being considered at the state level. A number of states have proposed and raised this up, and the industry experts are telling us that this legislation will, at some point in time, be binding as these states wrestle with this idea of how to legislate against single-use plastics and can continue to deter our dependence on single-use plastics. So special things to know when converting to paper. So it's a proven performing product, 15 years running now. So the paper gift card has been commercially successful for that period of time. It's not rocket science. A lot of people, as they move and migrate from a plastic card to a paper card, they tend to want to build in assurances and hold paper to the same standard as a plastic card. It's supposed to break down. It's supposed to perform slightly different in terms. It's not a credit card. It's not going to be a debit card. However, what we've been able to show in this 15 years running is it approaches the physical properties of plastic, and it replaces that single-use plastic. So it's been commercially adopted, and there's later in the presentation we'll see the number of brands who have embraced this. Billions and billions are in market today. I know that sounds like a familiar restaurant, but that's the truth. In the 15 years running, there are just, whether it be an online or a merchandise return card or a redemption, a promotional card, or your traditional gift card that's in store or in third party. These cards are prevalent and omnipresent. The other thing that I wanted to point out was the goals of the gift card, the paper gift card today have not changed since the goals were established 16 years ago. And when Apple would challenge the industry 16 years ago, these were the 4 goals that they communicated to us: that it be made of paper, that we didn't put byproducts in the paper to make it perform like a plastic. It needed to be green, and we've stayed true to that value all this time. It needs to perform commercially. So to be able to swipe through a POS reader, conform to the compliance of the ISO standards for POS systems out in the marketplace. It needs to be environmental friendly. It needs to resonate with not only the brand, but with consumers to that goal. And then lastly, it needs to be able to carry the brand. So that's what it started out in terms of the 4 goals, and today we can genuinely say that those 4 goals are still being met today. So how does the paper gift card compare to the plastic gift card? So 16 years ago, we needed to make sure that we had a paper substrate that was a 28 point. The 28 point being the minimum thickness that a card with a mag stripe on it needed to pass and comply with in order to read without a fail, and guarantee a pass at the POS station. Coated 2 sides, so it needed to be a product that you could have high fidelity print on both sides of the product. In terms of approaching the physical characteristics of plastic that I shared earlier, it needs to be rigid. It needs to be lay flat. Snaps. So what that often means is, you put a card between your thumb and forefinger and you snap it to the table, and there's a certain snap to it. It's a snap that you're not going to be able to get with a traditional 20-point board or 24-point board. The rigidity and stiffness to these cards are much different. And until the 28 point had come around, you really couldn't say that you had a product that would meet those characteristics. Product testing. So under the ISO 7810, that is the ISO standard out there for gift cards that has to measure the caliper thickness, and it needs to the range needs to be between the 28 point and a 32 point. So it meets those standards. Wash test. So it needs to be able to manage through a wash cycle. Mag stripe. Need to have the ability to apply mag stripe to a paper card. No different with with a paper card to that of a PVC or plastic card. Needs to perform commercially out in the marketplace. That it does. Needs to be able to apply scratch off. That it does. Have a fugitive glue, the card to a carrier and release. It meets that criteria as well. In terms of printing, if you're involved, if your job involves printing, managing print, understanding print, you know how important full color printing is and the smoothness of your substrate. So you're able to get high fidelity, excellent ink holdout for high-end printing. And along with paper becomes the additional options of other embellishments. Finishing. The last thing I think that was needed to confirm is that as you the tooling that's designed to punch these cards out, those cards need to have those smooth edges and not be jagged or not risk cutting a finger or just didn't have the elegance that would not be associated, would be typically associated with a plastic card. So it has those. Okay. So in terms of versatility, one of the things that we were able to do more have greater flexibility is with shapes. And as you see here, we've got essentially the size of the card hasn't changed. We've got this 2 1/8 by 3 3/8 card, which is commonly referred to as a CR80. And you can see here that we're still into that size range, but you're able to invoke slight nuances to the shape. So you're able to bring a little more brand identity to your branded currency. And these are some examples of some products that we've recently done. In terms of foil, so designing with foils, being able to work with foils. So I'm going to move to another screen here. Drag your cursor across it and move it around. So what you're seeing here is really fairly new technology. It's technology where we can apply foil to any kind of consumer product goods. In this example is a card. We have this technology set up for gift cards. And we can show foils on cards without actually having to go through the expense and time and dyes, everything involved in doing a press proof for a foil product. So in addition to foils and shapes, paper lends itself to scents, scented coatings. So these are some examples of some ones that were out this holiday. This particular one was done for Ulta. It had a hot chocolate scent to it, and was out in market this past holiday. So there's, as I shared earlier, there's no compromise for creative possibilities. Foils, cold foil, both cold foil and hot stamp foils, contrasting coatings where you can use multiple coatings across a product, different coating lusters. So you've got your gloss, your dull, your satins, mattes, and your soft touches. Pearlized coatings, scented coatings, embossed. Embossed is an area that you probably haven't seen a lot in gift cards, but because of paper, it allows you now to have dimensional appeal to your products. So being able to put an emboss, whether it be a pebble grain to a leather for maybe a purse or a football even or something like that. So literally you can have all of these different things that typically wouldn't have been able to do with a plastic card product. Now you can fold that into the possibilities for a paper card. We talked about shapes, ability to print on foils. So if you have the ability to print on foils, that UV capability is needed to be able to put that to task. And then also the combination of any of these can be considered as well. So for once, when it comes to gift card design, you can actually unleash your creative whims to these products.
Jim, we did have a quick question while you're on that. Um,
Sure.
and the question is, if I use a mag strip or foil, does it affect the ability to recycle?
It does not. It does not. So, and after the presentation, Terry, we have third-party validation that can attest to that veracity. But yes, and just quickly, the reason why that is the typically what people think about is they think about a release liner. There's release liners that in the plastic card world may not be uh, released. In other words, if it's a plastic, if the mag is part of the plastic, you're not going to be able to remove that. With the gift card, this is applied, and with a release liner that's taken off, that plastic liner is taken off. That liner is actually recycled by your manufacturer typically, but what's left is nothing but pigment, and that's what foil and the iron oxide for your magnetic stripe. That's what it is. It's nothing more than pigment, and that comes out in a de-inking process as any print packaging paper is done. It comes out in the de-inking process. So it does not impact the recyclability whatsoever. Good question. One of the channels that we often see as consumers is it's called the third-party channel. As you go into your grocery stores and you go into your pharmacy stores, you see these hanging on these gift card malls. They're called stands, ubiquitous within the store. There's just carries a number of brands on their card on carrier. So as these things have become more popular throughout time, you see more and more brands, obviously, and you see it becomes more of a challenge for these brands to stand out. And so what we've come across in terms of a common challenge at the retailer is how do we go about doing that? And the next slide here, we're going to show you how we went through a little case study for a customer of ours. So here we did an exercise for Taco Bell where you see all of the carriers in the background with a third-party mall behind it. We enlisted the help of designers and pre-press people in our operation, and we took a page out of their branding and put in radius on their corners, so it had the symmetry of the bell, the brand. We placed the card on the back of the carrier. The card carrier here, as you can see, is really a billboard. So it is how you advertise and capture appeal. So we wanted to associate the branding and give it as much visibility, explode that image, if you will, and brand onto the billboard there. And you can see how, as that compares to the mall there, how it might stand out. Here's an example once the card, the carrier is in place, and you can see your eye quickly goes to this in a number of different areas on the gift card mall, as whether it be on the lower end of the mall or the upper end or in the middle. And the challenge that we wanted to compare is if you can locate Taco Bell's original design in that gift card mall. And take a moment to see if you can locate that. I won't give any hints. If you've guessed that it's on the second row and it's third from the right, if you've been able to identify that, that's where it is. So you can see the case study that we kind of made, and it was really appealed to Taco Bell. We did the same exercise where we reversed out the colors and went to an all the white background with the PMS color, and then went through the same exercise again. And you'll notice, you can see what this has been, as I shared earlier, this has been a challenge for the brands, but you can see where the brands have really addressed this. You can see which ones have yet to address it, and you can see the ones that really have. So they've understood this as a way to drive their gift card sales at third party. Challenges that our industry is facing today, if you haven't been aware, but there's just been a lot publicly mentioned, especially leading up to the holiday, as to people perpetrating fraud. It's now grown considerably, and it's impacted the gift card industry. It's a challenge that we've gladly embraced in terms of addressing. There's many entities within the supply chain and the gift card industry as a whole working to assist in this endeavor, all the way up to Homeland Security, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. So the entire industry is working collectively to bring together solutions. Nothing could be further from the truth that we're not out there educating the consumers and protecting the consumers. But it's a journey. It's not going to be something that's going to be an overnight that's going to be an overnight solution. So some of the things that I think that we all have identified that help to manage this, and it depends on your brand, it depends on your POS system, and it depends on where your cards are located. But the use of the mag stripe, even though it may seem as arcane, it's still very much an element that can help protect it fraud. Use of PIN numbers to be able to coincide that, so you have a dual authentication, so to speak. Tamper evident features can be on the card as well. That could be in terms of the scratch off or peel off. The packaging that goes with cards. So being able to make packaging secure so it's not easily accessed, the card is easily accessible. Another popular concept and term is tamper evidence. You've seen tamper evidence in especially products that have intellectual property concerns or easily theft. Again, these kinds of packaging ideas are now coming to gift cards. And then finally, just a little piece about the Retail Gift Card Association. The Retail Gift Card Association is an organization that exists for the benefit of all retailers. It's made up of a retail community, industry subject matter experts, industry professionals throughout the whole supply chain. And they meet regularly, annual conferences, and they work as a single voice, communicating the needs of the gift card community, but also to be out front of these challenging issues that our industry faces, both at the federal and state level. We talked about channels for distribution. These are some of the channels that typically we see today for a brand. Your brand may be in all of these channels, or they may be in one or none at this point. So obviously in-store being a very popular one. This is your branded currency. If you're the retailer, very important part of your identity. Online sales. I think one of the things that's been slow to come around is how the merchant community recognizes and addresses the ability to merchandise and share the fact that they have gift cards online. Sometimes that can be a challenge, and what you often want to do is not forget about that gift card in your online business. Third party is another area that we spoke of earlier that continues to be probably the biggest driver of volume. And B2B, which is if you're somebody that participates in the business-to-business space. Incentive marketing is that other area that often you see gift cards. These products typically find their way in terms of gift, loyalty. You've got brands that recognize the ability to use the gift card in concert with their loyalty programs, loyalty apps. Very big. Obviously, there are few retailers out there, quick serve restaurants that have really leveraged that to a large degree. Merchandise return cards, and then promotional cards, using gift cards to create foot traffic in your store and online. Here's a by no means all inclusive, but we do track brands on paper. It's a snapshot here that gives you visibility as to the brands that have migrated from uh, a hard plastic, a PVC surface printed card on plastic to a paper gift card. As you can see, this over a period of 15 years, there's been a strong adoption to this. Environmental sustainability and recycling. So these areas of the paper gift card really, this kick-started the move, and they continue to be very important. So I wanted to include this slide because last year there's been a lot discussed about the environmental impact of single-use plastics. Those in the Ohio area remember the train derailment that caused so much national exposure to PVC and the concern and threat that posed. That continues to, as you just recently had the anniversary of that. So as you continue to look at how plastic is manufactured, how it's distributed, especially as it relates to single-use plastics, I think that's where the microscope is. It's not necessarily plastic is going to be eradicated from our economy. Nothing could be further from the truth. But it has, I think we're finding as a economy, we're finding that plastic has a different place than perhaps where we originally started from. A couple of articles that were published last year that I think are very important in terms of recyclability. The subject of recycling is paper is the most recognized and recycled product in our U.S. economy. Close to 70% of all paper is recycled. Whereas plastic, that number has actually dropped considerably. 10 years ago, that number of recycled plastics was at 9%. Today, or last year, when it was 10 years later, that number has dropped to 5%. So it tells you as an economy that there's a meaningful difference there. And there's a number of reasons why that is. It is cost prohibitive. It's people as consumers, we're not fully educated as to what is recycled. There's a lot of mixed messages that goes on with that. So there's a number of reasons that I think the industry has struggled with there. FSC certified. If you're familiar with print, you understand that term, FSC certification. So the chain of custody from paper to end product. Chasing arrows. So your ability to communicate that this product can be recycled is also important. How you communicate that. Your carbon footprint. Again, this is a more prevalent topic today. Carbon footprint is we're hearing more and more about that. And just for a point of reference, you can reduce your carbon footprint by moving from a PVC product, okay, to a paper product as much as 325%. And that depends on the solution that you adopt, but that is the full range that you can achieve in a carbon footprint reduction. And then finally, I put this on here. There's a link here, and I'm not gonna go to this. I'm not gonna go to this slide. Did you pull it up, Terry?
Yeah, I could do that.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
While I'm changing the screen, there's a couple of questions on this topic. Okay. So first of all, it's do you know any retailers who moved to paper gift cards and went back to PVC because of performance?
Oh, so that person there who asked that question, you need to send them a skid of paper. Okay, that's an excellent question. As long as I've been in the industry, I've yet to have one brand that has gone backwards. I've yet to see one brand. I've yet to hear of a brand from a paper mill. it just simply hasn't happened.
Great. And then the secondary question to that is how does pricing compare from paper to PVC?
Great question also. So uh, if you've been familiar with this endeavor from 16 years ago, you probably have heard stories where this paper was more expensive. It has come full circle. It's now far less expensive than PVC cards today. Why is that? Uh, Part of the reason was the slide prior. You have greater adoption. You've got a greater assurance of supply out there in the marketplace. Um, it's more prevalent. So your demand going up means that your supply is also going to go up. So there's efficiencies going to be gained there. The supply chain has rallied to support that as well. On the other side of the equation, with what's been happening with petroleum products, COVID, supply chain challenges, and things like that, just the reverse has happened with plastics. So you've seen an increase in the cost of plastics. You've seen the demand drop in plastics. So there's a number of things that create headwinds for the plastic industry. Just the mere handling of that and the publicity has also hampered that. So all of those things have really done to make a 180-degree switch in both substrates.
Great. And we have one more. How many suppliers are there for paperboard for gift cards?
Did I hear that right? How many players?
How many suppliers are there for paperboard for gift cards?
That's another good question. So in today's marketplace, I am certain that there are 5 in the marketplace. Now, having said that, what is also been trending is your SBS board, your typical C2S board. This is what you're finding in Europe today, and this is where I think our industry is heading. So being able to create a laminated board, and laminated means just simply you're making a sandwich. You're gluing 2 pieces of paper together, just in simple layman's terms. That process of binding those 2 sheets together is what gives the physical properties to your paper gift card. It creates the stiffness, the rigidity. If you're working with somebody that knows what they're doing in the lamination process, you're preventing curl, twisting, torquing. Those characteristics need to be addressed in your product. That's where the evolution of this product is going. That's another area that's how we're driving cost out of the supply chain, out of your products, to put more profit in your hands. And we'll touch a little bit more about that on how Optimum Card has worked to take that to the next level. The screen that you have up here, I wanted to include this slide because as a brand, as a retailer, as anybody that's embracing an environmental play, a social play, not to be forgotten is how you communicate that, to be out front. A lot of brands, a lot of retailers that I've talked to throughout this period of time, they're concerned first off with how the exception is going to be handled. Well, what if I get a complaint? What if I get a phone call? The first question I always ask, well, how many of those have you gotten in the last year? How many have you gotten it as it pertains to that product? And the exception, where we're going in our industry it's a journey, and this is merely a rung on the ladder as we approach more sustainable, more environmental friendly products in our economy. And I think Amazon, to this example, has done a really good job of getting out front, including information about their product tied it into the brand, tied it into their sustainability messaging. Other successful brands who have done that through blogs. Whole Foods, for example, when they launched the paper gift card, immediately went to their blog because their brand constituents are some of the most uh, loyal brand holders out in market. And they even went back to the T's and C's of the card, and they added elements to the T's and C's of the card that address that ahead of time. So being able to be out front and communicate a lot of times will disarm any kind of concerns that you may fear may be out there in the future. So one of the other things we talk about not forgetting is not forgetting how to dress the card. What we commonly refer to as your post-sale packaging. So this is you're going to see this perhaps online. You're going to see it in store during holiday. And you know that this is a really successful topic because now you're seeing retailers sell it. This product, if you look at the history in terms of packaging, used to be a giveaway. Now you've got retailers that have understood that this could be another revenue stream, and you're seeing that at your a lot of your big box stores. I really think I've often said I think companies like Hallmark and American Greetings might have missed the boat on some of this because I don't think there's been enough attention given to the fact that to elevate the card, to elevate the gift in such a way to connect the brand to the experience of the gift giving, gift receiving experience. Tie your brand into it. And that could be an evergreen event. That could be a special occasion. I've been challenged with how do I go to a wedding and the product that I wanted to give the bride and groom, they were out at the wedding registry. How do I put a gift card at a table with all these wedding gifts? So there's ways to go about this now, the challenges that have been put out there that you can dress the card in such a way that your wedding package with a gift card in it has a seat at the table. I think as a economy, we've understood the power of social media and being able to share worthy media and personalize things. So I think that's another thing that if you could tie your package, your gift card to a package, and all of a sudden it finds its way on the social media, how powerful that is and can be for the brand. So I think we gift wrap packaging. Why not gift wrap the gift card? Okay, Terry, I'm gonna see if you can start this then. So while she's bringing this up, I talked about Optimum Card. This is a white paper that we created, and we've taken this to another level. So if you're familiar with conventional printing, there's a lot of steps that go into making a gift card. You've got the printing on the A side, the printing on the B side. Perhaps if it's plastic, there might be a lamination process in there. Then you've got the card punching. You may have a foil application that's offline. So you have all these batch steps, what we call batch steps, 6, sometimes 7 steps to get a finished product. We've created a disruptive technology in our Chicago plants where we do this in 1 step. We can apply the graphics, the high fidelity printing, the foil, and let's talk about the video afterwards. How can we apply what we've learned today? So, I guess this is the challenge that as a retail community and others out there, where this is new information, you've got a good bit of content to kind of mull over and decide if this is the place for you and your brand and your consumers. Um, at the end of the day, what we're about is helping you sell more gift cards, and being able to leverage our experience, our expertise in the area of paper gift cards could be a step in the right direction. Um, assessing the availability of your cards. How easy is it for your consumers to find and locate your cards? Merchandising them correctly in store and online, and again, not to be forgotten, being able to dress the card with packaging. So and connecting your brand to the gift giving, gift receiving experience. Lastly, the other thing I'll leave with you is the fact that in my tenure in paper gift cards, I've collected a library of information from every challenge, every question that you can imagine, from recyclability to environmental. What's myth, what's legend, what's the truth, and the clarity in between. So can help with regards to any of those questions that may come up. And yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone for their time today. Hopefully you found it of value. And again, extend my thanks again to the Millcraft team, Rob and Terry, for this opportunity.
Thank you, Jim. If anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask away, because we do have a few more minutes. We could do that. I'm getting some thank yous in the chat.
Jim, do you have any clients that are doing gift cards that are differentiated, as in some that they do a version that's sold only in store versus some that are sold on wall?
So in terms you talk about graphically?
Either graphically or shape wise, I mean,
yes.
Obviously there's two approaches, right? And you outline them well, which is, going into the card mall at your local CVS, Walgreens, grocery store, etc., versus, some of the brands that tend to try to keep their gift card limited to their own in-store venue. So
yeah.
If you said, gee, for in the case of, a large, retail chain, if you had one card that you could do specifically in store that would kind of, if you will, be a collectible that you could only get in store versus more of a generic style card that would be sold, kind of at the card mall.
Terrific question. Without a doubt. So what you often see, as you would expect, graphics, some cards are special event driven. So Mother's Day, we've even seen, smaller holidays like Valentine's Day, obviously holiday being a big driver. And then, they may have an evergreen product. The other element to that is you also have cards that are non-denomination versus denominated cards. So you may have a variable card that only you can, based on the criteria that they put out there, that may be a $25 to $100 card, or you may have one that's strictly a $250 card. So if you go out and you look at your gift card malls, the packaging and the cards often will market what that particular card is.
On one other question I've got is on a scented card, what length of time do you recommend for going through the testing process to get it to a point of productability, be able to produce it on a mass scale?
Great question. So the company we work with, there's a list of, and we can provide that list of off-the-shelf scents. And they cover the gamut, everything that you would expect. So those are readily available. How that works is they're placed in the coating, and that coating is a typical coating that's applied on a press. So it's relatively easy in terms of maybe a week to a week and a half to get if it's an off-the-shelf coating to actually get the coating, which is not much different from a standard coating. They also do custom coatings. That in itself may be a little bit longer because you probably want to do some sort of drawdown, put that in front of the client, and let them sign off on that.
Sure. So on a drawdown style process like that, you would actually be blending that scent into the coating so you get an actual, if you will, an actual prototype of what that scent's going to ultimately smell like coming off that card.
Correct. And these are typically scratch and so it's a coating, slightly encapsulated, so you'll be able to scratch and the aroma be able to.
And you mentioned one thing on substrate, so and I want a little bit of clarity on this from your aspect. So you mentioned, ideally 28 to 32 point, and I'm assuming you would recommend for rigidity purposes a true SBS and not a TMP style board.
Correct. You want to, and this is kind of where I try. It's kind of like if you're shopping for clothing, if you're buying your Lululemon, if you're buying your Nike, you're buying performance clothing. A product like this is really a performance product, so it's not your package. So it's designed for a specific purpose in mind. So you don't want to shortcut that, and put that at risk.
Well, this was great, Jim. We really appreciate this. Great questions. I feel a little bit more card savvy.
Well, we're excited and available to help in any way that we can. And again, thanks for everybody's time.
Thank you.
Jim, I hope you're reading some of these thank you notes in the chat because there's some specifically for you.
Okay. All right. Terrific. So I have not, but are they captured when I go back and?
You could just go up to the little icon that says chat and the window will open up.
Okay. All right. Terrific.
You see it?
Thank you so much. Yep.
But Jim is right. The cost of these cards have come down tremendously from the days of where it was a one-off. When Jim and I started doing this back in our days in North Carolina, it was literally one brand at a time. And you would run, a few 100,000 cards for one brand, and that was it. And then there'd be a gap. But now that more and more brands are sustainably conscious, the volume and value has brought that price and demand. Demand has gone up, price has gone down because of the number of products and brands that have adhered to the paper product as opposed to the plastic. Thanks again, Jim. It was great.
Thank you.
And like I said, we'll be sending an email follow up to this presentation. So feel free to reach out with any questions in between.